Ethan Klein owes it to his audience to tell him the truth.
I understand this like centrist. I understand the feeling in the video. You feel like you're being fair when you're just like criticizing both sides and then you think you've done something good because you're critical of both sides, but you're not. You're carrying water. If both sides are truly, if both sides are truly about the same, then that's fine. But if one side is far worse, you're doing a disservice to one side versus the other, right? This was just the most bizarre example I have ever heard somebody bring up in my entire life. This piece of shit started to mass block every single person that was responding to her and then complaining about like, I think in another tweet, she complained about community notes things. I think that these people, I think what she's trying to do is I think she's trying to mass block anybody that could thumbs down the community note so that she has all of her tweets monetized. She did ask her followers to downvote the community notes. Okay, yeah. Does she have like blatantly false info then that's not, when did I debate her? It might have been around here, August 1st. She trained her whole life and this is the moment she got. This is Angela as a little girl. Wait, is this Angela as a little girl or was this the Algerian as a little girl? What? She typoed? No, hold on. You're banned. Why do you say this? She didn't typo, you f***ing retard. She's trying to show a picture of the girl to make her seem more sympathetic because she's like saying she's crying or whatever. And she doesn't believe that the Iman is a she doesn't believe Iman is a girl. She thinks she's a man. I'm pretty sure this is the Algerian though. Yeah. She's this woman is a misinfo machine. Noters, remember to downvote the humorless low-T community note. Destiny's weaponizing community notes for his ego. Yeah, she's upset. Oh, and they got rid of the community note.
Criminal immunity?
What?
It's
I'm sorry,
to impeach
what is
him.
that process? Impeachment has nothing to do with criminal liability. The maximum...
How do I not get angry about this? It worked. Like, this makes me upset. Like, she's so confident, and she posts a video, and she's wrong, and what she's posting is wrong. Like, but no, what she's posting is right. She's just not even interpreting it correctly.
Maximum conviction sentence you can get for being impeached is just being removed from office and prevented from taking seat in future. Sentence you can get the maximum conviction sentence you can get for being impeached is just being removed from office.
The maximum conviction sentence you can get for being impeached is being removed from office
and prevented from taking
seat in future office.
That's it.
No, it's not.
All right.
Nuh-uh. And then she links this. Those who've been impeached and removed from office are still subject to criminal prosecutions. This is a different process. That's not impeachment. This is actually like, it's correct. Impeachment is the check and the balance. When trying a president, this step needs to happen first or the justice system could be weaponized against every sitting president. A president can be held criminally liable once the check and the balance is complete. That's not true. This is not true. Not only is it not true, Roberts explicitly rejected this argument when it was put before the Supreme Court. Because it says here in the Constitution, nevertheless. Judgment in cases of impeachment mean you can only be removed from office. But the party convicted shall nevertheless. That means irrespective of what's happened before, nevertheless, be able to be criminally convicted afterwards according to law. And that interpretation is one that Roberts even agrees with. But it's okay because nobody reads anything. And yeah, she just lies and engages with bots and retards in the replies. Yeah, it's insane. The whole argument for not impeaching the second time from Republicans was that courts would hold Trump accountable. Destiny, McConnell agrees with you too. No, that was a separate thing. That was retarded. No, that was just stupid. No, McConnell doesn't agree with me. McConnell said that we can't impeach him because he's out of office already. And there were like 7 Republicans that went with that basically, which is not, there's no reason to think that. Also, who the f is this guy? This guy's not a real doctor, is he? How do you impeach someone who's out of office? What do you mean? The same way you would impeach anybody, no? Remember, impeachment is twofold. You're removed from office and it prevents you from holding future office. That's why the Senate Republicans didn't want to convict Trump in the Senate once he was impeached in the House. because they knew then he wouldn't be able to run again for office. That's why they didn't want to do it. Anything else they say is a bold-faced lie.
Ethan Klein from
Is this guy an actual doctor?
Ethan Klein from H3 Podcast on Ozempic. I'm Real Dr. Bay, TikTok, semaglutide, and tirzepatide expert. Ethan Klein recently went on a podcast and said that he lost over 100 pounds. And when asked how he did it, he said he stopped eating, which is technically true because these medications do suppress your appetite, so you do eat less. Do I think Ethan Klein owes it to his audience to tell him the truth if he is on these weight loss medications? No, I don't think because I don't believe his whole brand is about weight loss. The same way Oprah and Kelly Clarkson, their whole brand for decades have been about weight loss, and so I do think they owe it to their followers to admit if they found a secret to losing weight after all those years. The good thing and bad thing about these GLP-1 receptor agonists is they work so well that it's kind of hard to hide that you lost so much weight. Ethan,
how the could you possibly know someone who's on Ozempic? What? Like, there's a million other things that could explain weight loss. Medication-wise, I think all stimulants can lead to weight loss. There are diseases that could cause you to lose weight. You could have cancer. You could have some kind of other thing. You could have like tooth pain that makes you eat less. Okay, one of the ways you know if your animal's teeth are unhealthy is if they start losing weight. There's like a billion other things that could make you lose weight. How could you know it's Ozempic? You could be dieting and exercising. That could make you lose weight. Why would you come on here and just say, like, if this guy's a doctor, he should lose his license. This guy can't be a licensed professional, is he? Where's Mr. Girl at? If he is, this guy should be reported. And he should either lose his license or have like a suspension plus reprimand. This is insane. Why would you say this as a... But he might not be a real doctor. I don't know. He's a plastic surgeon? If he's a plastic surgeon, then I feel like he should know even better. Isn't plastic surgery like one of the most competitive surgical fields to be in? Is it the most competitive surgical field to be in? Board certified plastic surgeon. That's wild. That's wild. Another psychologist says that the board didn't find his relationship with Reckful problematic.
They did not find that his relationship with Reckful was a problem. What they did find was that he was representing to the audience. He was to the viewers. And the harm was to the medical profession, not to Reckful, not to the public, but the harm was to the profession. And when you harm the profession in the eyes of the public, you give the public reasons to avoid you as a profession, which can harm the public. That's the idea. So that's what they found. And they also did not tell him he had to take any content down, which leads me to believe that they think that the content is...
Oh, wait a second. Do they have any conversations with Dr. K and Reckful up on his channel still? Or did they take that down?
We good?
Oh, actually... This is actually probably the strongest argument in that favor then, that it probably wasn't explicitly, even though I said they did put those rules and they put the facts of the Reckful thing there, because it seems like if that would have been a huge part of the reprimand, they probably would have told him you should take this content down if this is the content that's representing negatively the medical field or whatever, would be my guess. Do you think it's unacceptable that America is losing shooting competitions in the Olympics? That should be the one thing we get gold in every time. The issue is our best shooters are positioned in schools right now. We don't have time to go to the Olympics. Every good American shooter is already in prison. If you would do assign a percentage likelihood, what would you say the odds are of Trump taking a bribe from Egypt? I mean, like my a priori assumption, you're talking about the president of the United States accepting a huge bribe from a foreign leader. My a priori is starting at, I'm trying to think if it would be 1% or lower. One, it would be the most sensational news story of all time. It would be insane. Two, it would be beyond stupid. It would just be dumb of Trump to take it, and everybody around him would say as much. Because keep in mind that he wasn't president at that time. Oh, was this when he was running? Okay, everything I just said still applies. It would still be unbelievably stupid to take it. It would still be the most sensational news story ever. The issue, and everybody around him would say as much, is why would you, if you do this, you are owned by Egypt, right? You are owned by Egypt. because now he can always threaten to, you know, oh, I'm going to tell people what we really did, and now you're completely. It would just be so dumb to do that. It's possible, but I would need extraordinary evidence to even get me up to like 15 or 20% on that, which might exist, by the way, if there's like reports that get released or something. But my prior assumption on that would be so low. Trump is also exceptionally fucking retarded, though. maybe my prior would start at 5% then. I don't know, actually. Maybe it would start at 5%. I'm not sure. We'll watch 5 minutes of this to see if this is worth giving August a response video.
My fellow Americans, I regret to inform you that it is that...
Real quick, is she Canadian or is she actually American?
My fellow Americans, I regret to inform you that it is that time again. Election
Okay, she is
time.
American.
Every 4 years we have to deal with this. Are you voting for the red files or the blue files? The red drone strikes or the gay drone strikes? Dead Palestinians or deal with this? Are you voting? My fellow Americans, I regret to inform
Oh, it's file. Why do they censor? Oh, it's so annoying. Just don't say the word. Find a different word to say.
you that it is that time again. Election time. Every 4 years we have to deal with this. Are you voting for the red files or the blue files? The red drone strikes or the gay drone strikes? Dead Palestinians or dead Palestinians?
Is this a 17.5-minute video from a rich white person talking about how both parties are the exact same? Is that what we're doing for 17.5 minutes?
Tired of it. They should just pick one guy to protect democracy and have him rule forever. And I believe that guy should be me. I'm officially announcing that I have once again decided to run for president. I know my last campaign didn't go very well after they found the tweets. Black people say it all the time. I can't say it. Let's take a look at our candidates, shall we? Trump, old, orange, Kamala, woman. What is a filibuster? I don't know. I get all my opinions from Twitter and my husband. Let's talk about Israel. Build Back Better, Agenda 47. Let me introduce you to the Shoe New Deal. Bring back the red Pizza Hut cups. Universal guns. Make McDonald's colorful again. No more of this millennial gray shit, folks. We're sick of it. Government-sponsored Big Titty Goth girlfriends. Make it illegal to be mean to me. Imprison people who sleep in jeans. And finally, deport all the Greeks. Who's gonna be my VP? Alex Jones. So vote for me. Or else. The DNC is being held in Chicago. There's a Kennedy in politics and an assassination attempt. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to 1968. It has been a crazy few weeks. I'm sorry that I have been gone. I've been very busy, as some of you know now, and as some of you guessed. I have recently had a baby. And as it turns out, that takes up a lot of your time. And it's weird, like, I don't really care about politics anymore, but at the same time, I care about them more than ever. Like, I feel like I care more about the future, but also I don't care about what this political streamer said about this political streamer. It is so freeing. I highly recommend it. And even though I told myself I am taking a break from politics, I'm retired until further notice, I just couldn't help myself. Too much has happened. Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in. The news has been absolutely insane. I cannot keep up with it. The media has been more biased and extreme than usual, but thankfully there is a tool to help you navigate through all of that. So before we get into today's video, let's quickly get into today's sponsor, a sponsor I've been working with for over 3 years now.
Oh boy. Does she have a Ground News sponsor and she's about to give the most uninformed takes on U.S. politics ever?
Ground News. Ground News is a website and an app on a mission to give readers a fun, transparent way to keep up with the news. And it lets you compare how stories are covered all across the political spectrum, from left, right, and center. Every story comes with a quick visual breakdown of the political bias, ownership, and headlines of the sources reporting to help you get all the information you need.
Wait, hold on. I'm sorry. Real quick. One more boring quick thing. Sorry. So one of the things I said before, okay, so I qualified the of this yesterday when I was talking about Giuliani and his bullshit and not knowing like what scrutiny was, but that like there might be things I don't understand because I'm not a lawyer and I could be missing. Somebody emailed me a thing and there was a huge thing that I'm missing, but Giuliani was still retarded. But it was a thing I didn't know anything about. But Giuliani still apparently doesn't know level of scrutiny. But here you go. I'll read this for your edification and for my own. I thought it was interesting. Okay. Hi, Stephen. I saw you reviewing one of Giuliani's embarrassing oral arguments in one of the election cases where he argued for the regular or ordinary standard of review when the judge was obviously asking about what level of scrutiny. You wondered if you were missing something or if Giuliani's just an idiot, and I think it's probably a mixture of both. In reality, I think it started with Giuliani and the judge speaking past each other, but ended in Giuliani making a fool of himself. It seems most likely to me that Giuliani thought the judge was asking about the pleading standard rather than the level of scrutiny. I don't even know what a pleading standard is. So this is an example of, even though I've like read stuff and I've got like some foundation to understand like legal shit, because I'm not a lawyer, because I haven't had a formal education, there could be huge blind spots that I have in a particular field just because I don't know. I've only learned what I've read, right? There's the benefit of having a formal education, having a teacher, and like working in a field, right? There's always going to be a limited application of knowledge, or your knowledge might be limited to something. If you yeah, this should be obvious. So anyway, it seems most likely to me that Giuliani thought the judge was asking about the pleading standard rather than the level of scrutiny. As I think you know, at a motion to dismiss stage, unlike summary judgment, we accept the well-pled allegations in the complaint as true, and, assuming they are true, we ask if relief can be granted. This rule is heightened in a fraud case, however, at least in federal court and in Florida, where I practice. Federal Rules of Civil Procedure 9b states that in alleging fraud or mistake, a party must state with particularity the circumstances constituting fraud or mistake, unlike Rule 8a, which just requires a short and plain statement of the claim. In essence, what this means is for most allegations, we accept the complaint at its word, but for fraud, you have to say more than defendant made a false statement of material fact. You need to allege who made the false statement, when it was, and when they made it, usually. So when the judge asked for the standard of review, it seems Giuliani understood him to be asking about the pleading standard, so he appealed to the regular standard rather than the heightened standard for fraud or mistake. This is not a fraud case, he quotes. While this initial misunderstanding started totally fair, particularly for anyone who is a classic litigator who doesn't deal with constitutional issues and thus never has to deal with levels of constitutional scrutiny, the fact that the judge explicitly said, let's turn to the merits, i.e. not procedure, and Giuliani said he didn't understand what the judge meant by strict scrutiny, destroys charitability after that point. So Giuliani is probably retarded. But so I didn't know anything about like the pleading standards or heightened pleading standard for complaint or whatever. I don't know. So there you go. Learn some things. There you go. How come you don't do many sponsors? You just don't need them. They would do well in your videos now. I don't want to be beholden to anybody. People go crazy about trying to cancel me. The conservatives were trying to get my Surfshark and NordVPN sponsorships canceled from like 4 years ago. It's just not worth it. I can't hold sponsors because anytime I fight with somebody, their communities will go for the throat every single time.
With the news, and it lets you compare how stories are covered all across the political spectrum, from left, right, and center. Every story comes with a quick visual breakdown of the political bias, ownership, and headlines of the sources reporting to help you get all the information you need to understand the full story. The blind spot feature shows what stories are being underreported from the left and the right. For example, here is a story about how Trump apparently said disabled people should die. What? Right away, we can see how this story has been covered by 19 sources, and 78% were left-wing. Barely any right-wing outlets are reporting on this. Or this one about how the Secret Service apparently refused to use drone protection before the Trump rally in Pennsylvania. Yikes. 13 sources covered this, and 100% of them were from the right. 0% of left-wing sources covering this. What's cool is you can even see who owns these media outlets.
Why did everyone think Giuliani was such a smart lawyer? I don't know if anybody thought that. Giuliani was loved because he was the mayor of New York. And I believe, I'm going by my conservative aunt, my Cuban family, so who knows, but I believe, at least according to them, Giuliani was given a lot of credit for cleaning up New York City's crime and for dealing with the mob and stuff. That's what Giuliani I think was given. But in terms of him being like a brilliant lawyer or litigator, I don't think he's ever had that reputation. They just really loved him as a mayor of New York, and then they loved him as a mayor of New York after 9/11.
But my all-time favorite feature of Ground News is how easy it is to see how political bias can affect the framing of a story. It's so funny. For example, this story, this is how the left wing covered it. Netanyahu's speech to Congress underscores U.S. complicity in Gaza war. And this is how a right-wing source frames the exact same story. Are you ready? Allahu Akbar. Protesters burn American flag, rage outside Netanyahu's speech. I have been using Ground News every day since 2020. It is one of my all-time favorite apps, one of the first apps I open in the morning. Best of all, you can currently get 40% off their Vantage plan, which gives you unlimited access to their amazing features. Get the deal by going to ground.news/shoe, using the QR code on the screen, or clicking the link in the video description.
He took the mob down while being a DA, not a mayor. Yeah, but when you say somebody's a DA, like a district attorney, my guess is going to be that, I'm way outside of any knowing anything here, guys. So I could be totally wrong. Lawyer people, feel free to chime in. My guess is you might have some district attorneys that are literally like, I see this crime, I know the fucking crime, I am going to bring formal charges against you, and then I'm going to literally be in court litigating this. I'm going to do the theory of the case. I'm going to have people help me, but I'm like, this is my fucking case. I'm taking you down. But you could maybe also have DAs who are like, I'm pretty sure these people are doing illegal shit. We should bring charges. And then you assign the cases to because a DA can't personally prosecute every single criminal case, right? So when you say that Giuliani took down the mob with RICO charges, I don't know if that means that Giuliani was doing the write-ups and the briefs and he was doing the theory of the case and everything else, and then he was litigating it in court, or if he was just we need to take these fuckers down, we got RICO shit, and then he assigned a bunch of prosecutors to go after him. I'm not sure. I don't know. Yeah.
And now, back to the video. Now, as you know...
Also, keep in mind, I'm sorry, I'm doing this too. Just because you litigate or you don't litigate also doesn't mean that you're a good or a bad lawyer. Just because there's somebody that does litigation, like goes before a judge and argues or whatever, that doesn't mean that those guys are the good lawyers, and if you can't be a litigator, you're a shit lawyer. That's not true either. I don't mean to imply that if I am implying that, right? I'm sure you could do really great research and theory and everything else, and write-ups and briefs and motions and all of this other stuff, because all of this is really important. Building a case and doing the paperwork, filing, and doing the research and everything else is all essential. It's very, very, very important. All of it is important. Litigation is just like the final stage of it, you know?
Using the QR code on the screen or clicking the link in the video description. And now, back to the video. Now, as you know, I do not watch mainstream media. It's all biased and fake and bought by Big Pharma and the military-industrial complex, blah, 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 you know me. So instead, I tune into the real news.
Will Donald Trump win the next presidential election? No, thank you. Will Joe Biden be the president for the next 4 years? No. Interesting, thank you. Is the ocean considered another dimension? Yes, thank you.
Trump and Biden had a debate, and well, it went exactly how we all expected.
The total initiative relative to what we can do with more Border Patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump? I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either.
You know, I have my opinions, but let's see what the American people thought. I forgot to watch. Understandable. Have a nice day.
Joe, you did such a great job. You answered every question. You knew all the facts.
You answered every question? The bar is in hell. At first, Democrats tried to play it off like Biden had a cold. They can only keep Biden in the
I mean, the competition doesn't answer questions ever, but okay.
basement for so long, and now the whole world sees his brain.
I understand this like centristy shit. I understand the feeling in the video. You feel like you're being fair when you're just like criticizing both sides, and then you think you've done something good because you're critical of both sides, but you're not. You're carrying water. If both sides are truly, if both sides are truly about the same, then that's fine. But if one side is far worse, you're doing a disservice to one side versus the other, right? Like, okay, you want to hire, Sam. And you want to hire Frank, okay? Well, both of them are criminals, and both of them, are divorced. So I think that we should give an equal try to both. It's like, okay, well, this guy's a criminal because he has a misdemeanor shoplifting charge when he was 18, and his wife and him broke up, 1 year into their marriage, and this guy is a felon because he murdered his ex-wife in a fit of rage. These are not the same type of people, right? You can kind of speak similarly about both of them, but these are two very, very, very different types of people. Why are we pretending they're both, the same? But yeah, the centristy type people do this shit. It's so fucking annoying.
Nothing live on TV.
With the COVID, with dealing with everything we have to do with, look, if we finally beat Medicare.
They couldn't deny it anymore, and people have been talking about it for years. I have been talking about it for years. We all saw it, and it's only gotten worse. And it's like fucked up to think about because it just kind of shows like, of course we all knew this, but they really don't give a fuck about us. If this is truly the most important election of our lifetime, and if democracy is at stake, why were you putting up this rotting corpse of a man? The Democrats had 4 years to find someone else. 4 years. There are a ton of other options. Like, I would vote for Gavin Newsom. I don't know any of his policies, but he looks like a serial killer, and that's enough. This is why we need to repeal the 19th. I'm just kidding. Am I? Everything I say is a joke, unless you agree with it, then I'm serious. There's just no way Trump is losing. It would take a miracle. It would take something like, I don't know, Trump getting shot in the head at a rally in Pennsylvania.
You see something that said, take a look at what happened.
Oh yeah. He's winning. I shit you not, I found out about this because of a meme on Twitter. The world could be ending, and I wouldn't know unless I saw a meme on Twitter. The bullet just grazed his ear because he turned at the last second to look at some immigration chart. Being racist literally saved his life. There's a lesson in that. The shooter was identified as Thomas Crooks, a 20-year-old who managed to find an unoccupied, unguarded roof not too far from the rally. He somehow knew that roof would be unguarded, laid down and aimed a rifle at the former president without being noticed.
Who is her main audience? It's going to be all conservative types. Every single one. Every single one of these centristy people, their audiences are always conservatives. 100% of the time. Every single time. All of them. 100%.
Oh wait, he was noticed. By everyone, except the people who should have noticed.
Yeah, someone's on top of the roof. Look. There he is right there. Right there, see him? He's laying down, see him?
Yeah, he's laying down.
He's
We have people that on the roof.
Either this was insane incompetence, or they let it happen. I'm leaning more towards the former because if you look at our bridges and airplanes, America is in shambles. People were laughing about how some of the cops protecting Trump were women, and like, come on now, that's sexist. They were making these awful memes like this.
Like it's jokes and everything, but it's all of it is just going to be shitting on the left and farming like humor from the right. Like, do you think there'll be like a single substantive joke in the other direction? That's also the annoying thing too, is these people. Who did I quote tweeted that Phil whatever dipshit guy? Hold on, where was it? Everything is acceptable to mock. Nothing is off limits. Huh? 4.2 thousand likes. Feels like conservatives didn't think that a couple weeks ago. I don't remember that. I don't remember that being the case. That you were mocking, though. You were celebrating.
No, but like actually though, why did they have a 5'3" woman protecting a 6'3" man? The shooter could have had another clear shot of his head. Like, look at that. Look at that. What is that? Like, what happened? Did the Secret Service initiate some DEI program? That would be like something out of a right-wing boomer meme.
To expand hiring, they're aiming to have 30% women recruits by 2030.
Oh no. Breaking. FBI confirms that Trump's ear was struck by a bullet. Wow, thanks guys. How much do we pay you in taxes again? Also, now that the FBI said it, I'm kind of doubting it. This is like when the government confirmed there were aliens and I stopped believing that there were aliens.
The government sure did do that.
The way we were so close to just seeing Trump's head be blown into smithereens, the worst way to be blown, it is...
Do you think she's aware of what she's doing? I think she knows she's appealing to all conservatives 100%. She might have bullshitted herself. I can't tell these. It's hard for me to know, bro. I honestly can't tell with a lot of these people. I wish I could just get them in a room and get them like shit-faced and we could just like have a conversation where it's like, do you understand, like, you know that like all your fans are conservative, right? You know that like everything you do is conservative, right? Can you tell that? Are you aware of that? I don't actually know. I'm not sure. It's hard. It's really hard to tell. People like Tim Pool I know are intentionally lying, 100%. But for somebody like this, like all of the other centrist types that get swept up in the middle that end up just being like mass conservative propagandists, I'm not sure. Considering her husband is like an avowed like far right conservative propagandist, I don't know. It's hard to say.
So crazy. Like, what was the motivation behind this? I mean, the shooter would have to be some crazy leftist or maybe a crazy far-right person who didn't like Trump, right? Well, we don't know, because apparently this 20-year-old had no social media presence. Okay, we do know that he donated to the Democrats and was a registered Republican. The internet was really desperate to find any kind of motive, but the only thing the media seemed to report on was the fact that the last thing he did was watch porn, getting in one more goon sesh before getting shot in the head by the feds. Personally, I think it's important to know what kind of porn he was looking at. I think that will set the record straight. Was it furry porn? Leftist. Hentai? Right-wing. Feet? Centrist. Latex, balloon inflation, BDSM, sissy hypno? ShoeOnHead fan. I always thought about like, if the MK Ultra suddenly kicked in and I went on like a killing spree. Good.
I still remember the debate with Trent. Where he...
We are live.
Wait, why is it not in the transcript? Wrong debate? Was this not an abortion debate? Did we do did I do two abortion debates with him? Oh wait, because it would have been on porn or something, huh? Maybe? Wait, I don't even know. It was the one with Jasmine. Oh yeah. Is this in my video? Destiny, don't ever donate. This was just the most bizarre example I've ever heard somebody bring up in my entire life. Is when they say, okay, we're going to give you a medication, we're going to try something, and we'll see if we can get an erection.
I think it would be a strange form of care to say, well, let's try.
I didn't ask if it was strange or not. I asked if it was appropriate.
I don't think it would be appropriate.
No, you don't think it would be appropriate.
I think giving a medication.
So that type of healthcare is totally outlawed.
We would agree.
To be clear, giving a medication would be appropriate.
It's fine to use medical treatment.
To stimulate them.
It's fine to use medical treatment to see if your body is working properly. It's fine to do things to acquire semen, for example. You might use, for example, with some patients, use electroejaculation stimulation of the prostate in order to get, well, for some patients, that's what you have to do, including if they're paralyzed.
Okay, I understand. What? This is when I know I've gone too far when you're looking at porn. Anytime you're shocking people, also no judgment, but anytime you have like electro stim anything, or anytime you've got rods being put into dicks, I'm like, okay, we're too far. Wherever the fuck I am, it's time to turn back. Why would he know this? What was he what was he researching that he learned this factoid? I feel like I know a whole bunch about like human sexuality, human sexual biology, like all this shit. I've never heard of this procedure in my life. He's talking about a medical procedure to obtain male sperm. I'm guessing maybe you can do electronic stimulation of the prostate in order to extract semen, I guess is what it sounds like, but I don't know, it's just
state in order to get. Well, for some patients, that's what you have to do, including if they're paralyzed.
Okay, I understand what you just said was a way more hardcore kink than water sports, but okay, go ahead.
No, to see if you can ejaculate, to see if you're able. There is a difference between trying to determine if your body is functioning properly and saying that sex is just a...
Sorry, anyway.
Good luck figuring out my politics. Trump shooter used gaming site that features presidential assassination games. So for those of you who don't know, they're talking about Steam. He doesn't even own the game. He didn't even play the game. This would be like being called a pedo because... Wait. So for those of you who spree, good luck figuring out my politics. Trump shooter used gaming site that features presidential assassination games. So for those of you who don't know, they're talking about Steam. He doesn't even own the game. He didn't even play the game. This would...
Wait, I thought he did own and play the game. Am I wrong? Trump, shooter, Steam, assassination game. I remember seeing a headline showing that that he owned the game, I think on his Steam account. But maybe he didn't actually have any hours clocked in on it. Maybe I did. Maybe I just saw like a tweet on that. Was it not real? Oh, or maybe people found a Steam account and it wasn't even his. Oh, I remember this. There were tweets or something that was saying there was like some account on Steam that said like be there for July 14th or whatever the fuck. It's going to be a big day or something, or keep an eye out for my premiere or whatever. But this whole account I think was fake. Yeah. Okay, and that was the thing linked to that. Okay.
It would be like being called a pedo because you have Netflix and Cuties is on Netflix, even though you never watched Cuties. He's not trans. He's not Muslim. We can't figure out his political identity. Who do we blame? Gamers. Now, I'm not a believer in stochastic terrorism. I think that's a little goofy. People should be allowed to criticize people. But if you're like, he's Hitler, eventually someone is going to try to kill Hitler. But it is crazy to think about how, like, this will be in the history books. This will be in my son's history book. But it will look more like this. Now, unfortunately...
Do you think anybody is going to put in the history books about the time he tried to steal the election? No, I'm just kidding.
Someone did die. One of the bullets hit Corey Comparator as he was protecting his family. But there were people like...
And by protecting his family, we mean he was standing up when everybody else got down so that he could continue recording with his phone, and then he got hit by the second barrage of shots. But...
mocking this, which is insane to me. Like, it's one thing to make fun of a failed assassination attempt, even a successful assassination attempt on a politician. If we can't mock or criticize the people in power, there is an issue. But it's another thing to mock a innocent Trump supporter that died. The guy didn't have any power. He wasn't a politician. He was just a dude. I don't like...
He wasn't just a dude. He was a guy that was posting a ton of inflammatory shit on his social media, who was at a rally for one of the most inflammatory candidates of all time, but...
where stuff like this leads. And sure, you could say, oh, if a Biden supporter died, you know, MAGA would be laughing about it too. And like, sure, like, can you just have some principles? Oh, speaking of, libs of TikTok started doxing people for making jokes about the assassination on like Facebook and getting people fired from their jobs, including some old lady who like worked at Home Depot. Like her...
She made a Trump racist joke, no? No. I don't know. Okay, hold on. I can't tell if you said that in good faith or bad faith. I was waiting for some retard to bring that up. People will say this. People will say things like... Okay, so like, I'll utter two jokes, okay? Do you guys know where Biden was yesterday? Oh, well, he probably doesn't either. Ha ha ha, right? The joke is funny because Biden is old and senile and he's a fucking loser, right? When you make the joke, do you guys see Trump's racist comments yesterday? Kind of base, right? But not really, but maybe. The joke is that like Trump is based in awesome. It's not the same. Intuitively, you know that. So I can't tell if you're lying to yourself, if you're lying to me, or if you're just too stupid to like enunciate your feelings when you say like, oh, well, she made fun of Trump for being racist. No, she didn't. She made a joke about it. She thought it was based, right? It was based and funny. It wasn't really like I don't understand how, I can't tell if this actually works on people like you, or if you're just too stupid to understand that like, this is not a joke at Trump's, it's not a joke at Trump's expense. Fuck, what was the, did she say racist? I don't remember what it was. No, this is even after what we've seen. Fuck. Oh wait, it was the turn his head. We're at 11:16 right now.
Twitter. The bullet just grazed his ear because he turned at the last second to look at some immigration chart. Being racist literally saved his life. There's a lesson in that. The shooter was identified as...
Like, that's not a joke at Trump. You're actually, like, comedically retarded if you think that this is supposed to be, like, an attack against Trump. Like, that's not. It's a funny based meme or whatever. Can you give an example of an actual Trump joke? Not from any of these people, no. Because these people never actually make fun of Trump. They'll never make fun of Trump on anything important, ever. They just don't. Because they love him, because they worship him, because they would suck his cock and drain his balls at all hours of the day if they had the opportunity to in person.
Would be laughing about it too. And like, sure, like, can you just have some principles? Oh, speaking of, libs of TikTok started doxing people for making jokes about the assassination on like Facebook and getting people fired from their jobs, including some old lady who like worked at Home Depot. Like her life is miserable enough, man. She's like 65 working at Home Depot. Libs of TikTok just completely forgetting the reason she started the account in the first place, to make fun of...
That's good. This is authentic criticism of libs of TikTok, at least. That's good.
Cringy liberal behavior, like getting people fired for jokes and political opinions online. I have been incredibly consistent over the years. Consistently retarded. But one of the things I've been very consistent on, one of my principles, is being against getting people fired for like things they said online. If you don't have principles, you are no better than your enemy. And it just becomes this extremely toxic back and forth, this toxic cycle. And you all look like psychopaths while I'm here on the sidelines. Principled and losing. Forever. Like, social media, when this all was going down, was a train wreck. Oh, speaking of train wrecks, the RNC happened.
Let me hear you cheer if you support Israel.
Enough was enough. And I said, let's have the media run wild, brother.
We become totally unhinged if Donald Trump is not elected in November.
Wait, what?
If Donald Trump is not elected in November.
Wait, what is the story behind the dog?
At the RNC, Trump finally announced his VP pick, J.D. Vance, a man who, according to Snopes, did not in fact f*** a couch. Well, he lost my vote. J.D. is a senator from Ohio, the author of Hillbilly Elegy, and a terminally online post-liberal who follows me on Twitter.
It is the weirdest thing to me. Democrats say that it is racist to believe, well, they say it's racist to do anything. I had a Diet Mountain Dew yesterday, and one today. I'm sure they're going to call that racist too, but it's good. I love you guys.
That's my oomphy. This dude follows like 1,000 people, and 2 of them are me and my husband. There is a chance that we have a vice president who has retweeted the words Hitler Bussy 420. Oh, they did it. They literally did write about Mountain Dew being racist. I hate it here. After posting on Twitter that he was dropping out, we didn't hear from Biden. They did it. They literally...
What the f*** is this article? And it's in the Atlantic. Oh. They did a huge boo-boo. I see, never mind. Guys, listen, okay? If you're a journalist, or if you're in school for journalism, or if you're in grade school, okay? Because I remember we learned this in grade school. Apparently, they still teach this to journalists, okay? You're supposed to have a very catchy title, or a very catchy first or second sentence to draw your viewer in, or to draw your reader in, and then to, you know, molest them with facts of logic, or whatever your point is. But you can't do that anymore today. You have to assume that the only thing that somebody's going to read will be the headline. It sounds like the author's like making a cheeky joke at this and saying like, but actually, you know, goods and services or whatever. The clip is spread widely, mostly because it seems absurd. What the heck is Vance on about with his supposedly racist Diet Mountain Dew? But don't underestimate the power of the Dew. By invoking this bright yellow, hyper-caffeinated soda, Vance invoked a whole history of symbolism for white rural America. Vance is right. It'd be ridiculous for Democrats to call a soda racist if any Democrat would actually do that. At the same time, consumer packaged goods have histories and market demographics. Everyone might drink Coca-Cola from time to time, but Diet Coke developed such an association with women that a similar product, Coke Zero, had to be introduced to appeal to men. Marketing can also shift to products associations. In the mid-20th century, Coke and Pepsi were seen by consumers as white and blacks, as a white and black drink, respectively. Now, Sprite is sometimes considered a black soda, even if people of all races also drink it. Dr. Brown's soda has origins in New York Jewish delicatessens. For decades, latte swillers offered a sneer at yuppie lefty voters. LaCroix invokes middle-brow coastal knowledge workers, and so on. So they took this as an opportunity to write about this, but nobody is ever going to engage with the substance of your article. Just assume that the only possible thing they're ever going to read is going to be the headlines. My favorite one, this is a good article. We read this on stream a long time ago, but my favorite one was, this gets thrown around so much, and conservatives use this as proof that the election was rigged. The secret history of the shadow campaign that saved the 2020 election. I believe we read this like 3 years ago, but I think that it's been a while, but I'm pretty sure that this article is just about like all the different people who were part of all of the different election committees, the ballot counters, the vote watchers, the reporters, everybody that tried to ensure that like every part of the election process was maintained with a high degree of integrity. But conservatives will read this headline, and then I've had this happen. People just quote tweet, and then they'll put the image of the article like, oh, well, explain this, because they see shadow campaign and they assumed it was like a big vote rigging operation. Like people, I've had this article thrown at me like 50, not the article, but like a picture of the headline over and over again. I was like, did you even read this fucking article? Yeah, but so be careful of that.
Did write about Mountain Dew being racist. I hate it here. After posting on Twitter that he was dropping out, we didn't hear from Biden for a few days, and people started suspecting that he was dead. People genuinely thought that DNC took him out behind the shed and put him down like an old dog. The shooter missed. Quick, plan B. Kill Biden. Phones don't even look like this anymore. This man's brain was so fried he had to drop out of the race, but he's still the president? We have a president who is too senile to run for president. So who is going to run for president? Who is coming to save us?
You think you just fell out of a coconut tree?
Just as I predicted 5 years ago, America might get its first female president because the president stepped down or died. Empowering! I don't know if you guys remember, but Kamala was not popular at all during the 2019 Democratic primaries. She dropped.
Now, regardless of what you want to say about a candidate's being, you know, popular or not, or can run for president or not, primaries are a different thing than the general election. It's a totally different thing. I want to say, oh man, is it 12 million or 20 million? The number of people that vote in primaries is I think it's pretty low. How many people voted in 2020 primary? Is my number way too low there? The core of the American democratic experiment is the idea that our government derives its power. As a report shows, every 4 years, about 80% of eligible voters do not participate in some of the most determinative contexts in our democracy, midterm primary elections. Okay, so these are for midterms, I guess. But like not everybody, like the amount of people that even participate in primaries is lower. A primary is different than a general. Like things change as time goes on. Like, yeah.
Opt out before Iowa. She was less popular than Tulsi Gabbard. And people don't like to hear it, but she was literally chosen because of her gender. Like, it's not even a joke. During the debate, when it was Bernie versus Biden, they were asked who they're going to pick as a VP, and Bernie was like, well, it depends if they're progressive and if they're following a progressive agenda. And Biden was like, I vow to get a female VP. And the crowd went nuts. We might have President Kamala Harris because Biden tried to outwoke Bernie Sanders.
So I argue with Dan about this on anything else. It's hard to say if anybody is DEI or affirmative action when the reason why you're picking them is to help you win the contest, right? Like, let's say, for instance, let's say that I want to run for school president, and let's say that I'm in a school with like 99% black people, okay? And I'm the one white guy there because I'm so fucking based and they accept me, okay? Because I recite 8 Mile every single day, okay? Now, let's say I want to run for class president and we can have class like vice presidents as well. Well, I probably want to choose a black vice president to give me some street cred, okay? So whoever I choose is probably going to be black. It's not going to be the other white guy in class. Now, does that mean that that's a DEI pick? Well, no, because the goal of the election is to win. I'm trying to get the most amount of votes. If I think that having a black VP is going to get me the most amount of votes, that's not a DEI pick by definition. That's like the most important thing I'm choosing for. So if Biden felt like having a woman VP or having a black VP would be an important thing to shore up the voter to get, black people or women more interested in voting for, the party, and I'm pretty sure Democrats did really well with women, to call that DEI doesn't make any sense. Unless you thought this VP pick would get us way more votes, but I'm going to choose a black woman anyway. It doesn't, like that would be an example of DEI, but I mean, I'm pretty sure the reason why they wanted a black person or why they wanted a woman, I think it was a woman. I don't know if he's a black woman, but the reason why they wanted a woman was because they wanted to have more women basically voting for him as a candidate. Kamala failed her bar exam, LeMayo. I think she failed her first pass, but so she was the DA and then the state attorney general for like 8 years. I don't know what the point of that is. Kamala Harris was an attorney general who prosecuted people in court, and Donald Trump is convicted of like 33 felonies so far. I don't know what the comparison is there. Amy Klobuchar was objectively a way better VP pick. What? Okay. It should be a combination of who will help you get elected and who's the most qualified for the job, no? It's the vice president. The vice president doesn't really have very many explicit jobs or roles to do.
Sanders at West Lebanon. Harris is not going to win this election, and she is going to have a very difficult time winning unless she begins to speak forcefully about the needs of the long-neglected working class of this country. The quote tweets and the replies were just full of thousands of people calling him sexist for this. Bernie's absolutely correct, though. Kamala has been so focused on getting, like,
I could care less about right or left. I don't idolize anyone, but I'd love to know if we looked at the use of the word Nazi on social media streaming services for the last 15 years or more. What word would you put up against it that the right used against the left as much? What? Commie or communist? What are you talking about? Bro, I don't know if you're 20 years old, but I grew up every single day. Rush Limbaugh, Commie Florida, the communists, the Chi-Coms, Red China, the Chinese, the communists, Obama the communist, Obama is a commie. Like, what do you mean? Every single fucking day. You were inundated with this if you were conservative across talk radio and Fox News. You heard it all the time. What are you talking about?
TikTok vote with her little like Brat Summer thing. I don't know what the Brat is. I'm old, but someone has to remind Kamala Harris that she's running for president of the United States, not president of the gays and women. White Women for Harris meeting raised millions, broke Zoom. But when I want to have a whites only meeting, I'm called a racist. Wow.
As white women, we need to use our privilege to make positive changes. If you find yourself talking...
I'm old, but someone has to remind Kamala Harris that she's running for president of the United States, not president of the gays and women. White Women for Harris meeting raised millions, broke Zoom. But when I want to have a whites only meeting, I'm called a racist. Wow.
As white women, we need to use our privilege to make positive changes. If you find yourself talking over or speaking for BIPOC individuals, or God forbid, correcting them, just take a beat. And instead, we can put our listening ears on.
Oh no. Can Kamala Harris pull off a victory?
Please, wherever you are in society, it is your mission, if you're a Destiny viewer, to do everything you can to eliminate BIPOC as a word, as a definition, as an acronym, as anything. Please, God, please, for the love of all that is good and holy, You will be making the world a better place for everybody, including BIPOC individuals. Please, God, get rid of BIPOC. It is the cringiest, most disgusting fucking abbreviation. Everything about it is stupid and disgusting. Please stop. My God, please fucking stop.
In 3 months, 3 top strategists lay out how. How do you run a 3-month campaign in an era when presidential campaigns have become years-long affairs? We gathered 3 top campaign managers to ask just that. We spoke with Patty Solis Doyle, who ran Hillary Clinton's 2008 presidential primary campaign, Robbie Mook, who ran Clinton's 2016 general election campaign.
Hi, Hillary Clinton team? Yeah, I need advice on how to win.
What? Do you think Hillary's, like, seething? If there's any...
You understand Hillary, like, did win the popular vote, right? Like, I mean, might have lost the election, but it's not like this would be a completely out-of-bounds person. But I guess conservatives don't even care about winning the popular vote anymore, so...
reason to vote for Kamala, it's just to make Hillary extremely mad. It was supposed to be me! The Democrats are voting for a cop and the Republicans are voting for a felon. And one of the candidates VP is a ShoeOnHead fan. Wild timeline we're on, folks. It's silly season. I don't know who's gonna win. All I know is that this is a race between 2 very different candidates.
Do not come. Do not come.
I'm gonna come.
Anyway, that was my little political video. I just wanted to cover everything that happened so we can, like, look back on this during World War III and see how easy we had it. So what are your thoughts? Who do you think is going to win? Not who do you want to win, who do you think is going to win? Big thank you to everyone who donates to me on Patreon. I appreciate your support so much. If you'd like...
Okay, I don't know why I watched it. It's true. Waste of time. Posting again. Please don't ban. Why? This is so old. No more links.
But I did stop these 2 young folks and asked them what they were doing in this neighborhood, which was a very interesting conversation ensued. So I asked them
I already know what this meme is going to be. Is this an old meme? Has somebody made a meme like this before?
if I could interview them. So get ready for a treat. We're going to talk, and we're going to keep it cool and honest. So let me turn this camera around and introduce these 2 young folks. All right, hello.
This is retarded. Okay. Yeah, that's a good one. It was honestly a good faith question, but to be fair, I don't think if we compared the use amount of Nazi versus commie, it would be even close, though, in the last 15 years, but I get your point. What do you mean even close? You're right, it wouldn't even be close. Way more Republican huge media figures and politicians called Democrats commies than large mainstream Democrats ever called Republicans Nazis, right? I pointed this out on Peers, and you guys all do this. People say, oh, you're upset because Donald Trump said that, you know, he wants to kill Americans. Well, what about when Pussy Sniffer 6969 on Facebook posted that he wants to beat up Trump and kill MAGA kids, right? How do you explain that? It's like, what? Why are we comparing random fucks? Piers did in the last show I was on, where he was like, this Olympic guy got fired because he made a comment about like women putting on makeup as an Olympic commentator. How retarded you have to fucking be to say that. But what about these women that are tweeting these things out about like men? What do you mean? They're people on Twitter versus a fucking commentator, Piers. Why the fuck are you comparing these 2 people? What do you mean? Like, is calling someone a commie as bad as calling them a Nazi, though? I would say that it's probably worse. The problem is that I don't know if you have the background to understand why. Nazis are the baddest of the bad, but they're very far away in time, okay? When my parents were in the Air Force, my parents were serving like during the Cold War, and the threat and the idea of like nuclear holocaust, like, and how many movies were made, you know, the day after, all these movies of like nuclear, you know, winter and the huge like conflict between the Soviets and the Americans and American, you know, interference in elections in South America, like communism and the threat of communism, right, was like the biggest fucking fear that gripped the United States for like 4 or 5 decades after the end of World War II. It was a huge issue in everybody's mind. So like, you can call somebody like a Nazi or whatever, sure, but like a commie, like a communist, like that was an actual real, like if you watch the movie Oppenheimer, okay, here, I can do pop culture references now. If you watch Oppenheimer, they weren't worried about Nazis in America. They were worried about commies in America. McCarthyism wasn't about trying to find Nazis in America. It was about finding commies. Yeah, it's the nowadays, because the left, you know, all these young retarded fucking kids want to be commies or whatever, commie has lost a lot of its bite. Today, Nazi is worse than being called a commie. But back when I was growing up, especially having parents in the Air Force, commie was like the #1 like thing that you wanted to call somebody if you were trying to discredit them or, yeah. And also, actually, I'm so sorry. I shouldn't give any concessions. I keep forgetting that conservatives shouldn't be treated like humans, okay? My bad. No,
I will say that being called a commie is worse than a Nazi even today if you are conservative, because I've been convinced by you guys making the argument year after year after year after year, the Nazis only killed, 12 or 13 million people in the Holocaust, right? How many people did the commies kill? 100 million. 100 million deaths to communism. 100 million deaths to communism. You guys have repeated that figure year after year after year after year, and now you're telling me being called a commie isn't a big deal? You can't have it both ways. So the one woman is a woman, even if she has XY chromosomes, because you guys say just to look at the vagina, vagina is a woman. So that's true. Women, you lose that argument now. And commie is worse than Nazi because you've spent the entirety of the last decade telling us that 100 million people died to communism. So they must be worse than Nazis. So it is a worse word. So fuck you. Okay? What do you want, Josiah?
Before you go on to the next your next video, just keep this tweet in your back pocket, okay, when it comes to what Republicans say versus Democrats. Marjorie Taylor Greene, 3 weeks ago, I'm going to read you this tweet. She says, "We're in a battle between good and evil. The Democrats are the party of pedophiles, murdering the innocent unborn. Violence and bloody, meaningless wars. They want to lock up your political opponents and terrorize innocent Americans who would tell the truth about it. The Democrat Party is flat out evil, and yesterday they tried to murder Donald Trump." You will never find, your chat will never find, a Democratic politician who says anything remotely comparable to that. Okay, so I think that's a good thing to have in your back pocket the next time you're on Piers. Okay?
Love you.
I see, buddy.
Bye.